Welcome to the Deep Dive. We cut through the noise of the news cycle to give you the core details on one specific topic.
And today, that topic is, well, it's everywhere lately. Data security incidents, breaches.
Exactly. We've gathered a whole set of recent news reports, incidents affecting all sorts of organizations. And our aim here is really straightforward. Just lay out the facts. What actually happened, who was involved, what data was compromised, just a clear picture for you.
Yeah, and the sheer number of these reports just in the last few weeks is pretty concerning.
It really is.
What jumps out is the variety, isn't it? Big tech, healthcare, universities, even like rental car companies.
Yeah, no sector seems immune. And the types of data, everything from emails to really sensitive health info.
It really shows how widespread the problem is.
Okay, so let's dive in. We'll go chronologically, starting with the week of April 7th, 2025. First up, Oracle.
Right, Oracle. They confirmed something happened back in 2017 involving what they called a legacy environment.
And interestingly, some attacker, handle Rose87168, apparently shared some of that old data.
But there was more to it, wasn't there? A more recent angle.
Yes, exactly. Researchers at CyberAngel actually flagged a breach from January this year, 2025.
Okay.
They spotted data being taken from Oracle's Identity Manager database, IDM, around late February.
And Oracle's response was interesting. Initially, they denied it affected Oracle Cloud.
Right, but then they clarified it was Oracle Cloud Classic, so an older version of their cloud service.
Which, highlights how these big companies have layers of tech, different generations, maybe different vulnerabilities.
Definitely. And still under the Oracle umbrella that week, a separate issue.
Yes, Oracle Health.
Yeah, they sent out notifications about a breach there, too. Patient data stolen.
And there were reports that hospitals using that data were then facing extortion attempts.
Which really shows the stakes when it's health information, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The impact goes way beyond just, financial stuff. Medical records are incredibly sensitive. It's serious.
Okay, sticking with that same week, April 7th, but shifting gears a bit. There was a lot of talk about those AI tools.
The ones turning your photos into Studio Ghibli art.
That's the one. Seems like harmless fun on the surface.
But privacy experts raised some red flags.
Yeah, about what actually happens with your photos when you upload them.
It comes down to those terms of service again, often really vague. You don't always know how your data is being used or how it might be used later.
And it's not just the picture itself, is it?
No, exactly. Photos have all that hidden metadata, GPS coordinates, timestamps, what phone you used, stuff like that.
Reveals quite a bit, potentially.
For sure. And then there are more sort of technical worries, things like model inversion attacks.
What's that?
Well, the theory is someone could potentially reconstruct parts of your original photo from the AI-generated one.
Right.
Plus, the images you upload could just be hoovered up to train other AI models, maybe for surveillance, maybe advertising, you just don't know. Definitely something to think about. Okay, still week of April 7th. Europcar.
Ah, the mobility group. They had a GitLab breach late March.
Yeah, source code for their apps was stolen. That's bad enough.
But also personal info. Up to 200,000 customers.
Wow. What kind of info?
Names and emails, mostly, for users of their Gold Car and Ubico brands. And some of that data was pretty old, going back to 2017, 2020.
Shows how long data sticks around on systems, I suppose.
It really does. And it remains a target.
And the attackers tried to extort Europcar, too.
Yep. Claimed they had 37 gigabytes worth, SQL backups, cloud details, the works, demanded payment.
That seems to be the standard playbook these days, unfortunately. Steal the data, then try to sell it back or threaten to leak it.
It's very common, yeah. Extortion is often the goal.
Also that week, the State Bar of Texas.
Right. They warned about a breach that happened between late January and early February this year. Found it mid-Feb.
And a ransomware group, INC Ransomware, claimed they did it. They did. And they apparently leaked some files, too, supposedly including legal case documents.
Oof, that's highly sensitive stuff. Big implications there?
Definitely. Legal data is particularly critical.
Okay. Then an update from the Port of Seattle.
Yeah, this one actually happened way back in August 2024. A ransomware attack.
By the Reseda Group, apparently.
That's right. And they finally notified people, about 90,000 individuals, in April.
That's quite a delay between the attack and the notification.
It is. Investigations take time, of course, but long delays aren't ideal for people needing to protect themselves.
What kind of data was involved there?
A real mix. Names, birth dates, social security numbers, driver's licenses. even some medical info for employees, contractors, parking customers.
Pretty comprehensive list. Did the port pay the ransom?
No, they stated publicly they refused to pay,
Okay.
and they stressed that, airport and maritime travel safety wasn't hit, and neither were partner systems.
Good to know. Protecting critical functions is key.
Absolutely. And not paying ransom is generally the recommended advice, though it's a tough call for organizations.
Right. Last one for that week. Royal Mail in the UK.
Ah, yeah. They were investigating a potential data leak linked to an attack on one of their suppliers.
A company called Spectos GmbH.
That's them. They handle customer feedback, data analysis, third-party risk,
So
basically.
the attack wasn't directly on Royal Mail.
Not initially, it seems. The attackers hit Spectos, but claimed they got 144 gigs of data from Royal Mail systems via Spectos.
Okay, and Spectos confirmed they were breached.
Yes, they confirmed unauthorized access around March 29th, compromising personal customer data, including, reportedly, Royal Mail customer PII and documents.
And how did the attackers get into Spectos?
Well, according to Hudson Rock, a cybersecurity firm, it might have been through stolen credentials from a Spectos employee, possibly compromised way back in 2021 in some malware incident.
Wow, 2021. Shows how long credentials can be floating around out there.
Exactly. An old compromise can come back to bite you years later if it's not dealt with properly.
Okay, let's move into the next week, April 14th. Big one here, involving a U.S. lab testing provider.
Laboratory Services Cooperative, LSC.
Yeah, affecting about 1.6 million people. That's huge.
Massive scale. And the data involved was incredibly sensitive.
What kind of things?
Pretty much everything. Personal identifiers, names, social security numbers, government IDs, but also medical info diagnoses, lab results, insurance details, even financial data, billing info, payment cards.
Wow, just everything. And when did this actually happen?
The breach itself was back in October 2024.
October. So again, a delay before it came to light.
Seems so. They said they acted promptly after discovery, brought in experts, told law enforcement, but yeah, it was undetected for months.
Okay, also that week, Western Sydney University in Australia.
Yeah, they reported, well, it sounded like a series of issues over the last couple of years, actually.
Not just one incident.
Apparently not. It highlights that this is an ongoing fight. What they announced this time included an SSO compromised single sign-on system.
Yeah.
That happened Jan-Feb this year, exposed data for about 10,000 people, demographic info, enrollment stuff, academic progress.
And there was more.
Yeah. They also mentioned a dark web leak from November 2024 that they only found out about in March. Plus, earlier breaches in 2023 affecting another 7,500 or so.
So a persistent problem for them.
Seems that way. Constant pressure.
Then a really big headline name, X, formerly Twitter.
Ah, yes. Over 200 million user records exposed.
No, 200 million. Just the scale is staggering.
It really is. And the data was apparently names, email addresses, profile data, stuff from breaches in January 2025 and back in 2023.
So multiple incidents contributing.
Looks like it. There was talk of a 34 gigabyte file floating around.
Right, I saw that. With screen names, user IDs, follower counts, emails from that 2023 breach.
And the root cause, or at least one of them, might trace back to a vulnerability from January 2022.
2022. Goodness. That really underlines the need for patching vulnerabilities quickly, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Unfixed flaws are just waiting to be exploited, sometimes years later.
Okay, kind of related, but different tech. OpenAI.
What happened there?
Spammers were apparently using the GPT model, the AI,
Right. To do what?
to generate spam. And apparently, really convincing spam. Over 80,000 messages that got past normal filters.
Wow. So using AI to make spam better, essentially, more effective.
Yeah, crafting messages to push scams, phishing links, that kind of thing.
That's not great. Shows how powerful tools can be misused, makes detection harder, too.
Definitely. Oracle popped up again this week, too.
Oh, again? What now?
They confirmed another incident, this time involving two, quote, obsolete servers.
Obsolete servers. Okay.
Oi.
What was compromised?
Credentials were stolen, apparently.
Any credentials stolen is a risk.
Yeah, though Oracle stressed that the main Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI, and customer systems weren't affected this time.
Still, not ideal. Credentials can be a foot in the door elsewhere.
Right. Then NetJets, the private jet company.
Berkshire Hathaway owned, right? High-end clientele.
Exactly. They had a data breach, too.
Yeah.
Sensitive client info exposed.
Like what? Names, contact details.
Both of those, yeah. And even flight itineraries.
Ooh, itineraries. That raises potential physical security concerns, too, not just privacy.
Good point. And rounding out the week of April 14th, WK Kellogg.
A cereal company.
Yeah, the food giant. They disclosed a breach from back in December 2024,
Okay, what was the link here?
apparently connected to the Clop ransomware gang.
Ah, CLOP, often linked to exploiting file transfer software vulnerabilities.
Exactly. That was the case here. Vulnerabilities in Clio file transfer software.
And what data was accessed?
They said attackers got into servers used for moving employee files to HR vendors.
So employee data.
Yes. Names and social security numbers were mentioned specifically.
Yeah.
Prime targets for identity theft.
Absolutely. SSNs are always high value for criminals.
Okay, moving on to the week of April 21st, we get an update on Landmark Health.
Right. That breach had been reported earlier, but the numbers grew.
Significantly grew, now impacting around 16 million people.
16 million. Wow. Why the jump?
Seems the attackers used stolen credentials to get deeper into their systems, access more data.
A stark reminder of how an initial foothold can expand if it's not shut down completely.
And the data types were extensive, right?
Extremely. Names, dates of birth, social security numbers, addresses, phone numbers, health insurance info, clinical data. The works. A really serious one for those affected.
Bien, Ahold Delhaize.
The grocery giant owns Stop and Shop Hannaford Food Lion.
That's them. They confirmed a massive data theft, up to 6 terabytes.
6 terabytes. That's an incredible amount of data.
Happened back in November 2024. The Inc. ransom group claimed it from their U.S. operations.
6 terabytes. It's hard to even conceptualize. Suggests a very wide impact. They had disruptions too, right?
Yeah, impacted e-commerce and pharmacy ops at Hannaford were mentioned. Shows the operational hit these things can cause.
Definitely. It's not just about the data itself.
Also that week, Legends International.
The entertainment and venue management company.
Yep, they disclosed a breach detected back in November 2024 as well.
Okay. Who is affected there?
Employees and visitors to their venues. They didn't give a number, but said personal data was accessed and taken.
What kind of data are we talking about?
Potentially very sensitive stuff. Dates of birth, social security numbers, driver's licenses, payment card details, even medical and health insurance info.
Wow, that covers a lot of ground. High risk for anyone caught up in that.
For sure. Then Hertz, the rental car company.
Another breach confirmed?
Yes. Customer information stolen, including driver's license details.
Driver's licenses again. Seems to be a common target.
It does. Hertz didn't give many specifics on numbers or timing, though.
But compromised licenses are definitely a concern for identity theft.
And finally for that week, DaVita.
The kidney dialysis provider.
Yes. Hit by ransomware. Caused IT system disruptions.
Disruptions in healthcare are always worrying. Potential impact on patient care.
Absolutely. And they mentioned the potential compromise of patient info, too. Medical records, personal details, insurance info.
Another healthcare provider hit hard. It's a worrying trend.
Okay, final week to cover, April 28th. Started with Marks & Spencer in the UK.
M&S, what happened there? A data breach.
Not exactly a data theft reported yet, but a cyber attack that caused major disruption.
Ah, okay. Operational impact.
Yeah, they had to suspend online orders temporarily.
Yeah.
Messed with contactless payments, click and collect.
But stores stayed open.
Physical stores were open, online browsing worked, but if you'd placed an order, it was basically on hold indefinitely. Shows how reliant retail is on these systems.
Big impact on customer experience and sales, even without confirmed data loss yet.
Right. Then Baltimore City Public Schools.
Another school system.
Yeah, reporting a breach from February this year. Affected over 31,000 people.
And the data. Probably sensitive given it's a school system.
Extremely sensitive. Social security numbers, driver's license, passport numbers, student data, call logs, attendance records, even maternity status.
Maternity status. Wow, that's very personal.
Linked to the Cloak ransomware group, apparently.
Okay. Just highlights the range of data these groups go after.
Then Yale New Haven Health. YNHHS.
Another huge healthcare one.
Massive. A cyber attack back in March affecting about 5.5 million patients.
5.5 million, that's enormous. What data was compromised there?
A lot of personal info.
Mm-hmm.
Names, dates of birth,
Yeah.
addresses, contact details, race, ethnicity, social security numbers again, patient type, medical record numbers.
Okay, so significant PII and identifiers.
Yes, but they specifically noted that financial details, actual medical records, and treatment info were not accessed.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. Still very serious, but perhaps less catastrophic than full medical record access.
Agreed. Then a slightly different type of incident from Blue Shield of California.
What happened with them?
They accidentally exposed health data for about 4.7 million members.
Yeah.
to Google.
To Google? How?
A misconfiguration in how they were using Google Analytics on
Right.
some websites.
Oh, wow. So unintentional, but still an exposure. What kind of data got shared?
Things like insurance plan details, member IDs, dates of medical claims, provider info, even what people search for in their Mind a Doctor tool.
So potentially quite revealing health-related information shared with Google's, presumably, advertising side.
That seems to be the concern, yeah. They did state that SSNs, driver's licenses, and financial info weren't exposed in this case.
Still, it highlights how easily misconfigurations can lead to privacy issues, even with big platforms.
Definitely a different kind of risk. And lastly, MTN Group.
The big mobile operator in Africa and the Middle East.
That's them. They announced a cybersecurity incident. Personal information of some customers in certain markets was compromised.
Any details on which markets or how many customers?
Not yet. They said the investigation was ongoing,
Hmm.
but they emphasized that core network stuff, billing, financial services, were secure.
Okay, so maybe contained to certain customer databases? Still, a major provider being hit shows the global nature of this.
Absolutely. So that brings us up to date. As you can hear, just a relentless stream of incidents over only a few weeks.
It's really quite something when you lay it all out like that. The sheer volume, the variety of targets, the different types of data.
Yeah, and we've really just stuck to the facts here, what was reported, what happened, what data was involved. No speculation, just the details.
Exactly. It paints a clear, if somewhat sobering, picture of the current landscape.
It certainly does, and maybe the thought to leave you, the listener, with is this. What does this constant drumbeat of breaches, big and small, across every sector, really mean for us living so much of our lives online? How is this changing things?
That's a heavy question, but one worth thinking about. The frequency and scale seem to be increasing. What are the broader implications for all of us?